Welcome, everybody, to Feedback Friday. This is where Tim and I take a look at your portfolios and resumes and invite you up on stage to talk about them. Tim is smiling like he's got an inside joke that the rest of us, don't know about. And yet, here we are. A couple of constraints for you. We are currently live streaming on YouTube, which means everything you share is shared with the greater world as well. The benefit to you being you don't have to take any notes. The sacrifice being you don't want to share anything sensitive. So your resume, for example, that probably has your phone number on it. You'll have to negotiate and consider whether or not that's something you want to share with the greater world or censor that asset first. We do this every Friday, if you're new here, every Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think that's all the spiel I have, though in a weird order today. Tim, today is a special day for Design Buddies.
Yes, today is a special day. Happy birthday, Design Buddies. We're going to be doing some happy birthday and birthday themed options for Design Buddies at the end of today's 2-hour session. So stick around for that. Have some fun, chat with Grace and some other cool people at Design Buddies. And we'll do also a group picture if you want to be part of the annual Design Buddies. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So
now, Tim, I don't know where that birthday event is taking place. I think the original note was that it would be here on stage. I think that has since pivoted to the birthday hangout lounge voice channel. Are you familiar with any of that?
I have seen it. It's in the air. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out soon.
If Grace shows up, we'll know.
Yeah. If Grace shows up here, we'll know. If she shows up there, we'll also know. We'll see. But let's get into this, Nate. I don't see any reason to delay. Let's jump into our first person today.
First on the list is stuff. Yeah, first on the list is Shivam. Shivam, if you're out there, go and raise your hand. We'll invite you up on stage and learn a little bit more about you.
Let's turn this extension off. I have invited them to the stage. Hopefully they have seen the invitation. I'll invite them again, I guess, in the hopes that they're able to come on stage.
I see them typing.
Yeah, so we'll also give a quick premise to anyone. We do invite people on stage. This is not a roast session. We do not enjoy doing a portfolio roast. We don't want to do a beatdown. Instead, we like to be collaborative and friendly and to work with you. And that often requires us to have deeper conversations where we ask you questions, we talk through things, and we might also get the chance to workshop with you in live time. And that's kind of the bread and butter of our experience here in making sure that people can get specific actionable feedback on their portfolio that they feel good about, and not just some stuff that is someone giving their hot take opinion on. Although we do appreciate a good hot take opinion.
Excellent. I'm seeing a couple things in the chat. Shivam is mentioning that they're not native English speakers. Shivam, totally hear where you're coming from. In these sessions, we do ask that folk come on stage with us because in order for us to validate any sort of design momentum, we need to understand more context about you and your goals. So if you're unable to hop on stage with us, we're going to move over to the next reviewer on the list, if that's okay with you. And then Noah is mentioning, hi, Nate, Tim. Not here for a review, but wanted to share that I got the position that I interviewed for. Noah, congratulations. I don't remember the conversation in depth. Tell us about the position that you got and what's the title?
Congratulations, Noah. That is so wicked cool. So wicked cool. Yeah, you don't remember Noah? Noah's like our best friend, Nate. We go way back.
Way back.
All the way back to the last session of 2025.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Let me. So I am going to say we're going to go ahead and move forward with Noah's celebration in the background. This does look like a cool art, but I don't actually know what I'm supposed to do with it, so it's hard to comment. But very cool looking designs, assuming that you did these in an art station. So not to say your work's not good here or worth talking about. We just need more room to chat with you to really experience that. So we'll go ahead and move forward to, I think it's V. Is V next?
V is correct.
Well, V is a letter, but V. Hi. Okay. Vicky, when you're on here, we'd love to know more about you, who you are, the kind of work that you do, and then maybe some of your goals for today. For example, are you trying to get hired right now? Are you in the job market? Are you just taking a stab at your portfolio? There's no wrong answer. We just want to know what the answer is.
Okay, hi guys. So I just got into product design, I would say last year. And so I just created this portfolio this year and I'm just trying to like get a job. But I do have a foundation in UX research.
Okay. So far we're hearing maybe transitioning from a research role to a more product design centric role over the past year. And right now you are currently in the job market. Does that mean
Yeah.
you are still employed right now in your research position, or are you kind of in the middle?
I would say I'm kind of in the middle.
Okay, that's totally fine. Do you want to talk about like your impetus to change here from research to more of a design centric role?
So I do have a background in business and I started like for research, I started with the Google UX course and that was like how I started. And then I just sort of like been researching like freelance. And then I started learning UI, I think last year. And yeah, I was able to, I guess, do a couple of internships and just kind of create some of the stuff on my portfolio.
Okay. So a little new, looking at freelance roles. Do you want to get hired in a bigger company, or is freelance kind of where you want to go?
No, I would like to get hired in a company.
Okay. So we've so far we've got transitioning from research centric role to more design role.
Hmm.
Maybe a little bit newer to the field, looking for a full time role. And
Hmm.
then is there a specific industry or background that's like suited you in the past? Like if you're coming out of like
Yeah.
hospitality or coming out of medical or something like that.
Yeah, so I think I'm still kind of looking towards like hospitality and I guess wellness, health, um entertainment, I guess.
And entertainment. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, today specifically, and we're happy to hear that. We see a lot of people coming in here. Um, we'll talk the conversation about what it's like to switch over and stuff like that. Um, Nate, do you have any questions for Vicky before we start deciding where we're gonna go here?
I think we've gotten all of them. The only thought that I have so far, Vicky, is that the focus, the industry focus that you've mentioned so far, it's certainly on the broader spectrum of things, and we'd have more advantage if we were able to focus deeper than that. But totally understand where you're coming from, understand the current positioning. Tim, I'm thinking we look at Vicky, if it works for you, knowing that you're looking for an FTE role, I'm thinking we dive into a case study more quickly than not, though perhaps we take Tim a quick look at the homepage.
Yeah. Let's take a quick look at the homepage. So when it comes to freelancing, freelance versus like personal stuff. So you're going to have a market split that freelancers sell services and people who want a full-time role sell themselves. Well, in a good way, but like, this item of, are you Vicky or are you Pixel Lens Studio or design? And then your focus is also going to change. If I'm marketing towards freelance, I know that I have specific people who are going to hire me for short-term projects, which means that my positioning is going to lean towards more like freelance and specific services that they might need, small-term projects. If I'm looking for a full-time role, it's important that we start focusing on essentially utilizing you as the identity, and then making sure that you are the product that they're investing themselves into. They're not buying a short-term project, but they're buying someone who is like the full experience, the full thing for Vicky. And so I suspect that that's going to be some stuff we talk about is your positioning across your portfolio and your case studies today, and making sure that Vicky is truly the person we want to look at. But we also notice that just because I like to snoop, I do notice that in your metadata, you're not calling yourself out as Vicky, um, even though you are advertising as a product designer, an individual, but also as a studio. So you'll probably want to choose one of those. And even your URL for Pixel Lens Design, I think, by the way, it's a cool name. It's a cool name for a design studio. Nothing wrong with that. But just making sure, do you want to advertise yourself as a studio and lean more towards this freelance world? Or if you're trying to get hired as a full-time employee, making sure you lean towards yourself as a person, a human who is hireable. How do you feel about that? Is that something that you resonate with at all?
Yeah, so I'm not trying to be like a design studio, but like that's like, I guess, a moniker. Like Pixel Lens Design is like my moniker, I guess. I don't know if that like that's a problem.
I think it's a cool moniker, honestly. And maybe I'm overreaching here. Maybe Nate can weigh in, but just like make up it. We'll do some drawing. Look at that first drawing today. But like when you're going freelance, right? You're selling. How do you draw value? I'm just gonna use a dollar sign. I'm just gonna draw a dollar sign. When people want a freelancer, they're typically looking for like a short-term project. And so you might advertise a service, right? You might say like, I help with logos, right? Like logo design, buy logo design from Pixel Lens. Or, you might say like buy design system from Pixel Lens. Whereas a company, they want to hire an employee who has kind of a broader range of tools that can scale across their team and be more integrated, rather than, I don't want to call these surface level, but like you're just not as embedded on the team for some of these things. And logos may be a bad example, but you might be asked to do like a short contract to like work on onboarding, for example. Like let's do an onboarding redesign, right? And that's like a classic. You hire someone for a couple weeks, they work on that with you, versus an employee who you're looking for like a wide range of tools and skills across the industry. So you know that they're going to cover basically all the things that you're looking for. And they're a person. That's the important part, is that they're a person that you get to learn and grow with and they can invest in. Versus on the freelance side, it's much more service oriented and kind of transactional in the sense of you buy a very specific thing from them. You don't necessarily need to say you're Pixel Lens Design or Vicky, but if you position yourself as Vicky, you'll be a little bit more positioned towards those full-time hires where people want to hire an individual on a W-2. Whereas Pixel Lens Design kind of leans itself towards like a studio, or like maybe like someone who gets hired for a couple months on something and then they go their separate ways. And that can really frame how hiring managers look at this. Like as a hiring manager, I go to your website, I'm looking for Vicky, I'm not looking for a design studio, right? If I'm HR and I'm trying to hire Vicky, I'm looking for Vicky, I'm not looking for Pixel Lens Design. So that just might be some positioning differences. I'm drinking some water, Nate.
Vicky, I think you're doing a lot of things well. Now, when Tim and I have these calls with folk, we have the agreement that we don't review all the possible things you could do, and instead we attempt to focus on what are the most important things you could do right now to build momentum. What's the low-hanging fruit that will then cast you in the correct direction? Now, we could talk about all the things you're doing really well and not spend enough time on the things we can improve. So I want you to understand that we see all the things you're doing really well. We're going to skip talking about it, so the conversation is going to feel negative, but know that we see all the effort and clear value you've added to this. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, perfect. Your homepage is doing a lot of things fantastically. Now, I'm not typically one to talk about UI, particularly if your role is geared more toward, well, you mentioned that you were targeting more of a UI role. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I just started learning UI like last year, but I have like my foundation is like in UX research.
Yeah, I'm okay. So that's interesting. So I'm looking at the value prop. There are a couple of things I want to talk about. I'm looking at the value prop, which is that paragraph that Tim highlighted on your hero section there. The value prop has a couple of objectives behind it. One is it's supposed to introduce who you are to your recruiters, hiring managers, and other personas that we could possibly be targeting. But the second thing, and the most important thing here, is how it differentiates you from that of other candidates. And the consequence with the currently written value prop is that if we were to take the value prop that you currently have and copy and paste that On a Tim's portfolio, for example, it still makes sense for Tim. So the quandary then is the value prop isn't differentiating you beyond that of other candidates. So if 100 candidates apply for a role, this value prop isn't setting you apart from any of them. And that's what we'd want to resolve here. Now, you have a differentiator having a background in research. Like that's a solid differentiator that indicates your methodology in product design is geared more toward that of deeper analysis, metric-driven results, scientific method analysis. And that differentiates you from that of other UI candidates, where often the industry of UI gears more toward artistry, which is something I am fearful of. I love the lean more toward objective criteria. I would love to see some of that in your value prop, and you have it a little bit, but like if we could really, how do I describe that? If we could find a way to like very specifically state you are a researcher turned designer, that would indicate to the FT, to the employer, that you are a person with this methodology background that other UI designers may not have. Let me pause there. How's that sounding so far? Is that making sense?
Yeah, it is.
I'm glossing past the notes that Tim is writing to me. So value prop, like for most portfolios, myself included, value prop can always be iterated. I want to scroll down slightly to your case studies. So this is the second most important thing on your homepage. Tim, you have a thought.
Move. Yeah. Before we do move, Vicky, just acknowledging that, trying to write a value prop that people can't copy paste somewhere else is so hard to do. But once you do it, it locks in some of your brand identity and helps you choose like your positioning statement. This section becomes really important because when people first land on your website, you're telling them how they should evaluate you and what they should be looking for. So if you call out business strategy, I'm going to be looking for business strategy. If you call it UX, I'm going to be looking for UX. Design could be a lot of things, but I'll be looking for design, right? So you're framing everything. And so when you're able to say, here's the unique part of my background that sets me apart, here is what my value I deliver is, because we want to talk about, the general format is talk about who you are, maybe why you're doing things, outcomes that you own. These things start to frame people who go across your portfolio, and they'll remember stuff that you've said here, and it will help to build your authority and your persuasiveness. So I think we'll probably throughout the rest of this session, we'll do some other workshopping with people, but we do want to get to other parts of your portfolio. But just kind of think about this and really decide, what do you want your main story arc to be when people come to your website? Because this is like one of your superpowers, is deciding how people see you and perceive you. It does take a lot of work though. So I hope you won't feel discouraged or weird about it. It just takes a lot of effort and time to get this where you want it to be. Nate, continue.
Below your value prop section, below your hero section, you've got your case studies. And this is the second most important section of your website. This is where recruiters will immediately go and hiring managers will immediately go after reading your value prop. Now, I'm not usually one to talk about UI. The only quick thing I want to mention is that the button that all those target audiences are looking for to view that case study, it just is hidden among the tags. Would love to see that visually differentiated in some way. Could even just be the next line down, or have that entire section be clickable would be potentially even better. Let me ask you, so I've dived into I've dived into the first case study there, and my intention was to spend more time talking about that, but you're kind of doing a lot of stuff really well in there. And when it comes to like the low-hanging fruit, I don't think it's in the case study. I think it's elsewhere. Are you okay if we skip talking about the case study and focus on the homepage?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. I want to talk about this third case study that you have, or I'm sorry, the fourth one that's upcoming. It's the Netflix redesign. Have you already started effort on that?
Yeah, so I'm currently in the research stage. So I've done a few surveys and interviews. So after I analyze the data, then I can start making like the design.
Got it. Okay, cool. The thing that's coming to mind as I'm looking at this particular section is when it comes to the Netflix redesign is a conceptual case study, and it sounds like you have a problem that you're trying to solve such as I don't have enough case studies in my portfolio, therefore I need to build more in order to validate that whatever interview I have, they can see that I have done work, that I have experience behind me. Is that the problem you're trying to solve with this Netflix redesign case study?
So I think for me it was like a personal problem, and so I wanted to kind of explore it. But then yeah, I did want to have like a real life business, like try to solve like a business like problem for like a business that exists, since I don't have like a real world solution. Like
Got it. Okay. Nothing wrong with that, though it does come with a couple of sacrifices that I want to talk about. So the friction with redesigning something like Netflix or taking a large popular product and throwing a redesign on top of it is they are difficult sales points for potential employers for a couple of reasons. One is they immediately know it's conceptual, and two is it comes with a little bit of ego in the sense that how is it possible that Vicky's skill set is superior to that of the millions of dollars of team folk that Netflix is hiring? Like, why? There's such a large disconnect there that it becomes a hard selling point for that of employers. And if I were to pivot your Netflix redesign case study a little bit, rather than redesigning Netflix, I would encourage you to move toward the direction of adding a feature that doesn't currently exist. So it's not about challenging all the other designers that are currently building and still working on Netflix. It's now about, here's a pain point that Netflix doesn't currently solve for, probably because of some strategic reasons. I want to now implement that and negotiate and see how that process could validate a particular problem. If you're currently in the discovery phase, in your research so far, have you found like a particular problem that you think you could build a feature or add an additional outcome to Netflix's value?
yeah, so basically it's actually a feature I'm trying to add. So I think I might just need to like reframe maybe the wording of this. So
Cool.
like what you said about the feature, that's actually what I'm building on. So it's not like
Perfect.
redesigning the whole, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's excellent. So it's no longer about redesigning of a many millions of dollars product. Now it's about adding additional functionality, which is awesome. And if I were to tweak your language even more slightly, rather than focusing on the feature that you're adding, of course, focus on the outcome that is being achieved thanks to the feature that you're building. So it's less about focusing on the feature that you're building, more about here's the value that's now added, here are the outcomes that users receive. Beyond that, Vicky, I think you're doing a lot of stuff well. Tim, I'm going to pass the mic back to you. Vicky, if you want to come back another time, we're totally happy to dive down a case study. That said, your case study is doing a lot of things really well. There are certainly iterations we could make and things we can talk about. But for the moment, I think the larger friction point is resolving just some of these foundational things on your homepage. And then we'll come back and talk about your case studies in another day.
I'll yes and that. So I did write a note here, and I think Vicky, you're kind of already leaning this way. You may have already said this, but one thing that's really important is recognizing people don't understand the value until you tell them the value, and the value that you tell them should be dependent on your audience. So if I wanted to hire Vicky, I'm coming here to buy Vicky. I'm not coming here to buy Palm Lingo. I don't want to buy Sitelytics. I don't want to buy fintech user research. So what I'd actually be looking for is something in here that tells me what Vicky did that makes Vicky valuable, and it was in the vehicle of Palm Lingo. Now, we were just talking about Netflix redesign. This is where this is relevant. So, for example, if we were to apply Nate's advice, like we're not going to do a full redesign of Netflix. Like to imagine, building as a case study a better Netflix. If you could do that, that is awesome. I will not stop you from doing it. I will just caution that, like Nate said, it would be very hard to do, and it may not be registered very effectively, especially if competitors or other people look at this. They might see it as a little bit of hubris. But what you can do is, we're going to move this just so we can see a little better. Okay. We might want to reframe this as something you did. So we're going to talk about the outcome. We're going to talk about the problem, and we're going to talk about like the ownership of it. So for example, you might say, if you're designing, do you know what feature you're designing for Netflix?
So it's a feature that's supposed to help people find content easier. So it's like a mood.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of like mood, and mood is like one of the things that came up in the user research. So I'm looking at that, and I'm still analyzing the other information and like secondary research.
Discovery via mood and vibes. And then if
Yeah.
we think about this, when we're talking about like anything, what is the reason Netflix should do something like this? Like, what would it improve about Netflix? And if we think about this on like a user level, this is often going to be like, well, Netflix probably cares about like user churn. So, for example, you could say reducing, as a sentence might be like reducing user churn for media content, for media consumers, by enabling user discovery via mood and vibes. And so right now what we're doing is we're actively framing our, hopefully you can see me selecting the text here, but we're going to actively frame the problem that we're solving for, which is a user experience behavior problem, right? Is user churn. So we're going to solve for churn. We're valuable because we can solve business problems. We're solving it for companies that do media consumption, like could be Netflix and other people. So this one's about Netflix, but it could have been anyone else. And we're going to do it by a feature that we've created. And this is the type of feature, this is the thing that it's doing. And so when you reframe your case studies like this, like if we were to say, instead of saying Netflix redesign, you say reducing user churn for media consumers by enabling user discovery via mood and vibes. This is a lot more targeted. It's a lot more scoped. It helps me understand immediately what I should be looking for when I open this case study. And it also starts to attach authority to you because you're showing off your skills. You have a skill for reducing user churn. Hi, I'm Vicky, the world's greatest designer, because I help reduce user churn. And I can do it for media and content companies. I can do it by making new features and understanding users. So this is also part of your story. And so next time we chat, I would love to see some applications of this, seeing if you can reframe these and yourself in general through this lens of being outcome, problem, and ownership oriented. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
Vicky, appreciate the time. Appreciate you being willing to hang out with us.
Thank you.
Tim, next up is Chi, the Chi designer. There's Chi Pipe designer.
Okay.
Chi, if you're out there, put your hands up or Tim's going to find you.
I already got him.
Nice. Quick announcement while we're getting G set up. We do this every Friday for those who are new here. Next Friday, we will have a guest speaker on board. Tim, tell us a little bit about Athelia.
Athelia is so cool, guys. She is a designer. She's a senior designer and leader over at Google Labs, and she helps them design some of their experimental UX projects and stuff. She is incredibly insightful and very kind. And we've had her in the past. She just wasn't able to stay the full length of the session. So she wanted to come back on and see you guys again and also offer some feedback. She also actively does some hiring stuff. So she has some pretty unique insights, although I will say she has some, we'll do this. She has some, she's validated some of the stuff that we've talked about already. So we know for sure we're in a really good place. She's cool. She's really, really cool. So we're looking forward to having her again next week. So be here for that. Be here for that. It's great, guys. So, Dan May, what are you doing? Chi, tell us first of all how to say your name, and then tell us a little bit about who you are, what kind of work you do, and what your goals are today.
Good everyone. So it's actually Chi William, but Chi for short. Yeah. So I am a multidisciplinary designer here. So I combine brand design, products, and motion design. So I work in house for certain startups and also freelance on the side. So basically, so uh, I do both. I position myself as a studio sometimes and also as an in-house designer too.
Okay. And did I miss it? Your goals right now, are
Did you
you
get that?
working?
I don't know if you got that.
Should I say it again?
G, did we lose you? Tim was asking about what your goals were for today's call. He may have said,
see.
hold on a
I
second.
can see. Yeah, I can see his thing is green. He's got a green mic symbol, but I'm not hearing any volume out of him.
Gee, hopefully you're
mate.
still able to hear us. If it's okay.
Yeah, I'm still.
Oh, gee, welcome back. Tim was asking about what your goals were for this call.
Yeah, basically, I would like to get like to see what I'm doing right, or and also what I'm doing wrong from what I said about my what I do. Just want like an insight, like an outside perspective, basically.
Yeah, love the mindset there of looking for growth. Tell us about your career aspirations, as in are your goals to get a job at a larger organization? Are you looking to pivot elsewhere? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I would like to work with a larger organization, yeah, for the experience basically. But long term, just for the experience, like I would like to work with a larger organization. But long term, I see myself having my own design agency basically. But just for the experience, I would like to um work with a larger organization.
Got it. So currently targeting FTE at a larger organization. And what's the elevation that you're targeting? Are we talking mid-level, entry-level, senior?
Or mid level, I would say mid level.
And that's in UX design, product design?
Yeah. My approach to design, I feel design is connected. Like all aspects of design is connected, and I like to learn. I like to experiment. I get bored being just one project or one type of design. So hence the reason why I combine the one product and motion basically.
Okay, you're a Renaissance man. I'm hearing you've got a background of a lot of different utilities and a lot of horizontal skill sets. Very cool. Tim, I've got my notes on my side. Anywhere, I see you're looking around the site. Any place in particular you want to begin?
Yeah, so we can offer some feedback for you. I'm going to try to not be only visually focused for you, Chi. However, one of the things about working with freelancers or anyone is that you know your audience much more deeply than we do. So we can give you some general feedback, but like the specific feedback that we gave for Vicky probably is not something we can offer simply because you're marketing to a specific consumer audience of people who are hiring for freelancers or agencies, and your services become like the real product for you versus like you specifically. And so even like your whole flow here is optimized for us. Like you even have like start projects as your main CTA, which is fine. And we can talk about like maybe some of the friction here or what happens in this. But you know, we'll do our best. We'll do our best here, but just with the caveat, of course, that you are the person who owns your market space. And in the 15 minutes that we'll have with you, we cannot become experts in your domain. In the same way, we'll try to give you the feedback that we're able to give you, though. So, mate, where do you want to start?
Well, I may have misunderstood. So my perception was that Chi was attempting to target getting employed at a larger organization, but I'm hearing that there's still more of a focus on freelance.
Maybe I misheard. Maybe I misheard entirely, or maybe I was just distracted by the focus of this portfolio on a freelance.
Chi, point us in the right direction. Is the objective of this of this webpage for your freelance effort or getting employed elsewhere?
Both actually. Like I designed it in a way that I could use it for both. Basically, need to get to one stone.
So we've got a positioning conundrum.
Do you think I executed it right?
Got it. Cool. Let's talk about that, G. So I'm hearing you've got a website. You have desires and aspirations for both freelance and FTE at an organization, and you're attempting to build an asset that targets both of those things. So there's a quandary with this. The main quandary is that you are positioning yourself as a generalist do-it-all, and there are advantages and sacrifices to this particular strategy. The sacrifice, well, the benefit is if any sort of application shows up, you can theoretically apply for it because you're positioning yourself in a way where no matter what the job is, you have skill sets relevant and related to that job. That's your current positioning. The sacrifice to this is we're in an industry and economic standard currently where having things like domain expertise or a specialized skill set is a major advantage. When the market has a low supply of jobs available, but a high supply of designers who are applying for those jobs, the market can be extraordinarily picky with whom they hire. And because you're positioning yourself as a generalist, you will be outbid for the majority of those jobs because folks will specialize in that particular niche for that particular industry. Let me pause there. How is that sounding to you? Is that making sense? Gee, that was a question. Is that making sense to you? Gee, I think we lost you again. Tim, I think we may move on to the next one if that works for you.
Just in case you can hear, what we'll offer is, you're gonna have to strategy. What's the best way to do this? Go back to the playground. When we talk about like a strategy, it's a word you often hear, right? It's something people talk about. Strategy. But really, it's a code word for choosing where to compromise. That's really what a strategy is. And you'll need a strategy when you're looking at something. When you're looking at your portfolio or something. So when you're saying, well, I have two options. One is to be a freelancer, or we'll do A and B. One is to be a freelancer. One is to be a full-time employee. And you want to say, I'm actually going to build one website that does both. This is not a strategy because you're not choosing a compromise here. And what's often talked about in business world is that a strategy is kind of like a mountain, right? If you want to be the best at a strategy, you got to be at the top of the mountain planting your flag. But when you choose two things that are competing with each other, you end up in the middle of the two mountains, which is in the valley below it. And so this is like the worst place to be because no one sees you. Even if you'd only done one of these halfway, you're still in a better place, still higher up the mountain than you were for choosing both of them. So when it comes to saying, do I want to market myself for freelance or do I want to market myself for a full-time employment? You should choose which one of these you're going to choose more. Pick one of them to focus on and then have a separate site or separate area for the second one. For example, if you might say instead of play up here, you might have like freelance or something like that. Something that lets people who are interested in you as a freelancer, they can go to a specific place and experience your story under that particular lens and guise. Or if you want to be hired, if you're talking about full time, you might have a thing up here that says like long term, right? Like long term engagements, long term projects, and that might help you alleviate some of this problem. But when you think about a portfolio, if I'm at a portfolio and I want to hire a freelancer, right? The first one, I need to go to a website that persuades me to buy a service and to start a project. That's absolutely the outcome. But if this is for a full-time role, then the person who's on my website is not a business owner. It's going to be an HR person. It might be a recruiter. It's going to be someone who's saying, is this person the right personality? Do they have the right skills? Do I see this person working well with the brand space on our team? And those are just such different problems that they are essentially their own mountains. And you probably can't really solve both of them at the same time. And that's so you just got to choose. You got to choose which mountain you want to be on more, and you got to lean into it. I think said we're going to go ahead and move forward, but hopefully, you can hear at least that'll stick with you. So let's move forward. Let's continue on. Nate,
Tim,
who's up next?
Next on the list is TheRealSathvik. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I see him.
And I'm excited to talk about this one because the portfolio itself just has a unique aesthetic that I don't know that I frequently see, if ever. This is cool.
Nate, I may have. Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I have thoughts. But from an artistic differentiation, I think this is fun.
Very nice. Are you here? When you're on, will you go ahead and let us know a little bit about who you are? First of all, what should we call you? And then a little bit about some of your goals, maybe your background, and what we can do for you today.
So, hello guys, my name is Sathvik. You pronounced it right. So, I'm a third year computer science undergraduate student from India. So, so don't be mean. I'm completely beginner to this UI UX design thing. So, I'll tell you the whole story. So, as I told you, I'm a computer science student. So, I'm more into the development. I want to build products. I want to build products that solve customers' problems. So while I'm building such apps or websites, so I thought users going to use my websites. But after a thorough check, I got to know that my designs are not looking good. So then I got to know about the UI UX design is also a thing, and we need to make our websites or apps look functional. So that's when I got to know this thing. So recently, 2 3 months back, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and yeah, I've learned some. And yeah, these are some of the projects, and this is the portfolio bit. So I'm looking for just some feedback on this portfolio. I want to be a design developer, if you know what I mean. You can do both design and development both by himself. So I'm just seeking some feedback from you guys. Yeah, that's all I want.
Okay, so if I'm hearing correctly, you are an independent developer who has your own products, your own launches that you work on, and the adoption of some of your products and apps was not as expected for you, and you learned that some of the things to drive. And correct me if I'm wrong, but just what I'm hearing, that one of the ways to improve the adoption would be building a portfolio website.
No, not just portfolio. I'm just improving my design skills. So one project to do, I build this portfolio just for the showcase, and also for to crack some internships. I also do freelancing. Because of this portfolio, I'm currently doing a freelance. I got a freelance opportunity doing some web design projects for them. So that's how this portfolio helps.
Okay, Nate, do you have any follow-up questions for Sathvik?
I do, but I'm thinking that where Sathvik is currently at is potentially more foundational than some of the follow-up questions that we potentially have. Let me just ask real quickly, Sathvik, do you have is your ambition to get hired at a larger organization?
So I don't know. I'm still confused regarding that aspect. Have you ever heard this thing called indie hacking? So I want to build apps as a solo entrepreneur. I want to design development and all by myself, and I want to launch them and make some bucks on. So I don't know whether I'm not sure whether I want to work in a big organization or something. Yeah, I'm still deciding.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And love to hear that you have like ambitions, and now it's narrowing down which direction you potentially want to go with all of those ambitions. Very cool story. So the quandary that Tim and I are now in is that the portfolios that folks design have target audiences in mind for them. We have different feedback, for example, if you're targeting a large organization versus a small organization. There are other differentiators in there that we can ask about, but the overall mood that I'm hearing is that you don't yet have a direction by which you're choosing to target. And because of that, we don't have any constraints by which we can offer objective feedback. So we can take a look at your homepage and your in some of your assets, for example, but without the firm direction by which we are measuring success, I don't know that we'll be able to provide an immense amount of value for you.
I can weigh in a little bit on the indie hacking strategy.
Okay.
So
cool.
Indie hacking is awesome. We love indie hackers. And indie developing. The problem with I think the fundamental thing though about being an indie developer is that you're someone who understands a niche and you build an app that solves that problem. And then you publish that and you distribute it across a personal network. So when you talk about a portfolio website for an indie developer or an indie hacker, the goal is to have a portfolio that supports your network abilities and also gives you authority to say, yes, I'm a real person, I'm a real human. Now go look at my projects and buy them. A normal, let's take like even Pexelence, like a normal designer website is going to have a website that says, hey, this is who I am. This is some of the work I've done. These are stories that are crafted to persuade you to hire me, which works well for designers and people who want full-time roles. And sometimes it'll even work well for freelancers because they get to say, here's the work I've done. This is a lot like work that you're doing. We should work together. But an indie developer fundamentally has a different challenge, which is that your problem is about domain authority. I need to believe that you're a real person and that you're good at what you do. And then you need to tell me where to go, where to look at. So there is an indie developer who I've followed for a couple of years. I like him a lot. His name's Alex. He's a cool guy. He does build some apps, and there's lots of versions of this too. I'll put this in the chat for you. You need to build a different kind of portfolio fundamentally because you need a place that is just like this, the garden. So something that shows a little bit of craft, talks about who you are just a tiny bit, software tinker, indie developer, etc. But then focuses on what you're building and some of your philosophy, right? So this is how some of like your thoughts and stuff, and then showcasing what you're doing. This is what you need to build probably. Now the benefits of this again is that one, this helps build authority for your actual apps, right? I can't buy an app if there's no website. So you need to have websites for your apps. So that way I can go to them and I can experience the thing that you're trying to sell. The second thing is that whatever you use for your personal website needs to have excellent SEO handling. It needs to be solely dedicated to this purpose of convincing people that you are who you say you are and how they can support you, right? If you're an indie developer, I'm not interested in learning about your work. Like, oh, look at this commerce thing, open in Figma. I don't want to open these in Figma. I want to go look at the actual apps, right? I want to go look at your product that you've published. And so there's a fundamental difference between like your workflow of what you're sending out there, right? Whether you're sending someone to like a full thing that they can support you and publish you on, versus just concepts. And even if you're building in public, like you can build in public too. That's a great thing to do for indie developers right now. Well, mostly, but you'll need to like have a place that like shows like your actual thing that you're working on, rather than having a collection of projects that may or may not be just default templates, or in just kind of you need to lean into that if you're going to go the indie developer, indie designer route. Send people to where they need to go versus being in the middle, because they're not buying your process, right? If I'm going to buy your app, I'm not buying the wireframes for your app. I'm actually buying the full app, the full real thing.
Yeah, got it. So also a follow-up question: are there any new AI tools regarding this design aspect? So I mostly design using Figma Make, also Google Stitch and stuff. Are there any helpful AI tools that, that I might can learn from?
I missed some of that. I heard you say that you mostly design in Figma and Figma Make, and also Google Stitch, other vibe code design tools. What bearing does it have?
Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't get. Hello. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just missing what you're saying.
So so follow-up question is that I want to know what are the AI tools that I might be missing to build some better UI UX based applications that helps me in the process of in dev.
What potential AI tools assist with better UI and UX? Tim, you might be the perfect person to ask about that if the goal is to understand what are some like AI tools he could potentially adopt to enhance his skill set.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the focus of our stream today, since we're doing mostly portfolio and reviews and stuff. I would probably direct you though. Who would be a good candidate for talking about this? Honestly, the tool is not the important. Like the specific, you can do it with any tool. You can do it with any tool. Any of those tools are competent. Mostly those tools are all wrappers of themselves, because it really works that you have frontier models and you have a bunch of companies that are underneath the frontier models that are repackaging and selling it. But they're technically the same thing, just with slightly different opinions. So any of those tools would be good. The tool does not the designer make. It is the designer and how you iterate on it. So to weigh in on what an actual workflow works like would be beyond the scope of our call today. But well, the thing is, Claude Code, Figma Make is technically Claude Code or Codex, but with prompt opinions and injections on top of it. It makes different decisions and it's more expensive because it's one of those things. But that's a different conversation for the thing. So you use what works for you, man. What however gets you to the end goal. You just have to know what your goal is, and then you do it there.
Yeah. Okay, man. Thank you for having.
Next,
Also, Alex makes some really cool apps. So if you like cool apps, Alex does some stuff that's cool looking. So
Sure. I'll check him out.
Next on the
All right.
list, Tim, we've got Vaishnavi. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that somewhere in the ballpark.
Vaishnavi. Yeah. Okay. Let me invite them on. There you are. And let me open this in the browser.
Hello, how are you guys?
Hello. A person. Oh, we accidentally searched it. Your website instead of going to it. Tell us a little bit about well, first of all, what should we call you? And then a little bit about who you are
Vaishnavi.
and stuff. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so hi, my name is Vaishnavi. Nate, you were actually very close. So kudos on the effort.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I am planning on transitioning into product design. So a little bit of background about me. I majored in physics in college and then went straight into working at Bank of America in vulnerability management. And a huge part of my job there, even though it was very technical, was that I had to build these dashboards of very complex technical terms and translate them into basically like for non-tech folks, for like stakeholders. And that really got me into UI UX, and that's when I got my Google UX certification. Um, and then fast forward at my next corporate job, I was working in data intelligence. So again, very similar, but again, I was translating these very complex jobs or like technical workflows into something that was easier to understand. And again, I was like, I'm really into UX. Then I started my own startup, which is a platform for enhancing GEO for young consumer tech startups. And that's really when like I started understanding UX, and I kind of was like, this is something that I'm really passionate about when it comes to product design specifically. And I started doing a little bit of consulting with other startup founders in my network, and I think like so far I've done it with 5 different startups and brands. But yeah, this is my first attempt at my portfolio. I do have 3 case studies up. Um, I have had a little bit of a challenge because I actually transferred this website from Weebly. Like it was like very old. So like I transferred it from Weebly to Wix because I thought it would be more user friendly. I do use Wix more, but I ended up on Wix Studio, and it's just like very hard to translate it from like mobile to web. Like I'll fix something on the mobile side and like it will move everything on the website as well. So I had to add this little note about like this is best viewed on desktop. But yeah, that's kind of like where I am and what I've been doing. Um, I know that you guys have been asking questions about whether you're looking to work at a big company or like freelance. I think my ideal situation would be to work in product design at a startup that is Series A or beyond, maybe Series A, Series B, and then also have like one or two freelance clients on the side.
Your background in physics, is there any connection to that with your experience at B of A? Was there a Venn diagram of skill set there?
Yeah, yeah. So for physics, I used to take a lot of like, so I was physics and applied math, and then I graduated around COVID, and so I was just like, I can only do one class or like one major online. So I ended up, well, the skill sets that overlap the most are actually machine learning. Um, so I interned at Bank of America during my college time, and it was just like a lot of research and like sentiment analysis. So I guess like machine learning, and then I transitioned into vulnerability management post grad, just because I think that's what their business requirements were. But yeah, there was a lot of overlap, mainly with like a lot of the machine learning and like data analysis stuff.
Fascinating. Okay, very cool.
Thank you.
Tim, I've been looking at this site as Vaishnavi's been talking. Did I do it?
Vaishnavi. Yep.
Vaishnavi, thank you. As we've been talking, I have all kinds of thoughts, and they are similar to the previous ones where they are foundational directional conversations. Is that where your mind is at as well, Tim?
Yes, there's some directional conversation. There's also some UI conversation to have too. But let's do the more important stuff first. Go, you take point.
Me, I'll take point. I'll take point.
Yeah.
Vaishnavi, you're doing a lot of stuff really well here. If there's anything we can say about your site, it's certainly interesting. There are unusual things going on that we don't typically see in portfolios, for better and worse advantages and sacrifices. And there are just a myriad of things we could possibly talk about, which is why my goal here is to pivot away from like all those little things and talk more about mindset and momentum and direction. So you have described that your goal is product design at a Series A plus startup. Very cool. Love the trajectory there. That said, you've got a background in high enterprise and a real solid differentiator on machine learning and your high regulation background. It is positioning you extraordinarily well for enterprise environments, but I would imagine you can probably find a startup with that same sort of like vocabulary as well. I have no doubt that Venn diagram exists. Now, looking at your portfolio, there are things on here that we would not typically see on a portfolio. For example, I can log into your site. Why can I log in? What's that about?
So I ended up so I vibe coded this app, and I'm also like very active on social media. I talk about, my design process, building my startup, so basically building in public. And a couple of weeks ago, again, I vibe coded this app, and there was just so much interest on there that people wanted to try it. So I kind of like just created this community, and like I think there's about like actually over 100 people like within like the last 2 weeks that wanted to try out the app. So that is why I ended up creating this like login. So when you log in, you can actually try out the app.
Very fun. Very fun. Neat. Okay. So my immediate gut reaction then is you need a separate portfolio. that what you have here is very cool, but positioning you incorrectly for your desires and aspirations. And I'm thinking if this website currently already has value for you in other things like the freelance work that you were describing, then I don't want to throw that away. But instead, if your goal is to apply for Series A startups, we'll need a portfolio that showcases your effort for the target audiences that of hiring managers and recruiters specifically. The current showcasing of your portfolio isn't targeting those, I think, really at all. So that's where I'm wanting to pivot to. Let me pause there for a second because we can certainly dive down that conversation, but I want to get your high level feedback on, like, is this something that you felt that this site doesn't target the correct audience? Have you already thought about like moving toward a different direction at all? Or are you like really trying to stay with your current atmosphere?
I honestly, so this was my very first attempt at creating a portfolio. I definitely knew that like, there is going to be things that I need to fix. I just didn't know what it was. So that's also one of the reasons why I'm here. Like I'm very open to, like I love the idea of having a separate portfolio because then again, like freelance is something that I want to continue doing even if I'm working at a startup. So if having separate portfolios helps, I'm definitely like very open to doing that as well.
Got it. I'm going to link a portfolio in the chat. And this is a person that has come on here and we've reviewed them before. The reason I'm mentioning them specifically in this conversation is this is a portfolio that has the minimum requirements for a portfolio, as in there's no additional detail, there's no extra fluff. If you were to create a new portfolio, that would probably in the chat, that would be the formula that I'd be looking to base your strategy on. So like start with that and then you can differentiate from there and add additional stuff after that. But that's all the stuff that we'd be looking for. So it's got your differentiator and the value prop. It's got the case studies that links to. It's got the about page that just declares more about you. And then beyond that, that's about it. And there's certainly like improvements we could talk about that site, but it's a good barometer for like, it has all the basic fundamentals that we'd be looking for and the correct flow of information. How's that sounding? Is that sounding okay?
Yes, that's super helpful. I appreciate it.
Tim, I have more things that we could talk about, but I think they're lower in importance than the overall direction. How are you feeling?
I guess I was feeling on mute. I am feeling that this is an awesome, like creative site. Like when you come here, there is fun layout here. It's definitely very like person oriented. It's not necessarily, I think it's a good showcase. Like this is like a great like about piece for sure. I am confused personally. And I mean, obviously now we've talked about like, I understand more, but like some of the messaging is a little bit confusing about like whether you're a studio or a person, and what to focus on there. And I'm wondering if this is something that drives a lot of traffic for you or not. Your login tool has broken your case studies. You can see it in here that it's kind of created a new div on here. And this is preventing your projects from actually being accessed, which is kind of weird because if you remove it, your projects suddenly become active. So just my biggest insight for you is going to be, I think you've outgrown Wix. I think you've outgrown this tool here because it's rendering it's off center. Everything's rendering off center. I checked multiple platforms, multiple browsers, that is. It's all rendering off center. It's rendering way suboptimally. Like this initial experience of loading in, whatever your credentials are, really undersells you and undermines your ability. Because like getting into here, like getting into where you're talking about you're talking about like Global Heart, you have good imagery, you're sharing your story, you have videos, you have cool demos, your physical projects, like there's some genuinely cool stuff on here, and it's just all undermined by this initial experience of loading in. That's very, very subpar here. So I would, as part of your positioning and your messaging, I would do something to change this, to improve this a lot. Figure out how do you, how do you make it responsive the right way, and then making sure that this can be the actual center stage rather than the bottom 2/3 off center stage. This is let me even go into the
Gotcha.
stream. Um, I think that's just going to give you a lot of mileage in terms of like having people come here. Now, when it comes to like having a cool app and stuff for logging in, I think that's a great scrappy solution for having this here. I do worry though that that's going to create some content security problems for you later on. So probably separate this into its own subdomain or something. Um, and just find a better way to launch your stuff. If Wix does, you could probably export most of this code into your own HTML build, and then you could just launch that, and then you'd have full control over everything, including the responsiveness of it, and probably even a better optimization of this shader tool down here, which is loading nicely now that's been cached, but does have kind of a delay. Um, and then since you want to target, I think there's two parts of it, which is you have a social media aspect. Hold on.
My daughter's currently at daycare,
Aw.
which gives me a lot of freedom to do these feedback Fridays a little bit. I love Tim's rhetoric in regard to you having outgrown Wix. I think that is super accurate. And I think you've also, like, I don't know your background super well. I think you've outgrown the content of this site. Like, this feels like something that you had worked on, but now you're at a point where you need to move on to the next thing. And all of this is cool, but just not positioning, like you've outgrown the positioning that this used to have. Is that sounding right to you?
I definitely think like I have outgrown like what I was doing in the past. So Nate, you're absolutely right on that. I just think like I don't know how exactly to move forward, and I think that's why this is the only the first draft of the portfolio.
I love that you're getting feedback on early iterations. Very cool mindset.
Yeah, I'm actually curious what you think your actionables should be. When you come to a website, you think about like what truly is a website. It's essentially a trust ladder for certain actions that you prime a user for. And if people come to your website, what action are you trying to prime them for? Because right now there's a couple CTAs, but there's nothing here that's priming me, right? You just have welcome to the internet home, which is cool. I guess it's you. Then I see you do have a technology spot for your projects over here, which is different language than your tech projects navigation up here. So there's probably a little bit of a mismatch there. You probably make them say
Yeah.
both the same thing. That's whatever, low hanging fruit, right? But like even as I go through here, I'm like reading it's like a nice little story, but it doesn't really prime me for your studio, right? It's just like ready to collaborate. And so like I think the narrative that you're driving here about you being a really cool person is awesome. It's just different from now let's work together on a project, especially if you're targeting specific startup Series A founders. So I would recommend figure out what do you want people who do you want to be on your website? What do you want them to do? Figure out what is the path for someone trusting you enough to click that button and to full send, work with the greatest the greatest internet home, lazy mastermind, product startup builder person possible. What it takes to do that, and say these are the questions I need to answer. This is the buttons I need to include so they want to take this action. Here's how I'm going to lead them. I'm going to show them that yes, I do want you to meet with me, but I'm not going to make you do it until you're ready to, or what have you. And then organizing probably your navigation bar, so it's also a little bit more oriented towards that, right? So fashion's awesome, but I don't know if fashion is a distraction from you. Art's also awesome, but like maybe this is actually the same thing. Maybe it's like a similar concept. It also goes under fashion, right? This is more like creative outlet type of work rather than two separate avenues and stuff. Although it is probably cool. You made these, so that's pretty sweet.
Thank you.
But like learning how to show that in a way that feels cohesive to the narrative that you're trying to drive, which has to be oriented again to those people. And then also this div. I don't know if Wix did you wrong or what
Yeah,
happened here, but
I have used Wix Editor. I actually launched an app, like our MVP, the very first one. I launched it on Wix Editor, so that's why I had so much faith. And then, like a couple weeks ago, just transferring up my website, I don't know how it ended up on Studio. And, I think one of the things that Tim, that you were mentioning about the nav bar, like it it just I think I was on it for like over 5 to 6 hours trying to figure out why it wasn't responsive. And I think like that just goes on to say that I definitely have outgrown this. I do have a question for you guys. Like I have been in between, Tim doing something similar to what you said about like the HTML, but I was also thinking about using Framer instead. I don't know if you guys have opinions about either or, but would definitely love to hear your guys' insight.
Tim, you have any opinions on Framer?
Yes, I used to be a local resident expert on Framer, and maybe still am. I will give you the caveat that I have left Framer behind, but that is because you have to ask yourself, what are you optimizing for, and what are you prioritizing? Framer is an excellent canvas motion web design tool. It is not optimizing for other aspects of the web experience. That is like when you're considering the Framer strategy. The Framer strategy is it helps you understand motion and animation on your website. And if you want a heavily animated website, Framer can help you with some parts of that and orchestrating it. The type of animations also matter though. So Framer is a great tool. It's hard, like Framer's expensive. That is the one negative thing, but Framer's very expensive. It does give you manual control and canvas over your website, which means you have to manually do a lot of things on your website and you have to be very good about upkeeping it. But the trade-off is that you can do cool animation stuff on it. Like we just saw, who's the person who works at Perplexity? Someone was currently working at Perplexity, and we were looking at their website last time. Like, there's so many cool examples of Framer animation and motion, but you have to do it yourself unless you want to use that. You could use an MCP through Framer to do it too. But I've actually found that using Claude with HTML gives me better results than Framer does because I get to control things. I get more control over the code, more ownership over outcomes. I get to say what I want to have happen. I can do better integrations. I get to build my own plugins versus getting stuck with what Framer's offering me. So it's not a one size fits all, but if you are familiar with how agents operate and comfortable doing something and you know how to iterate and you know how to describe certain things, you can build a very functional and amazing website using pure HTML and CSS. Or you even go like the Next.js route and build like a true app experience using Vercel or something of that nature. Framer is going to give you some quick wins though, if you want to do it. Just keep in mind that it will be expensive and it starts to bloat over time as you add more and more things to it. It likes simpler websites with a couple of animated pieces instead of like the craziness of like, for example, shaders. Shaders can be really tough on Framer. But there's also other cool animations that are not shaders that work very nice on Framer. And videos work excellent on Framer. Slideshows work excellent on Framer. So you just got to choose what you're willing to optimize for and what your gaps are going to be.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much. I'm a huge Claude cowork and like entire like Claude fan. I do spend a lot of time on there, so I feel like for HTML, it might be super easy to just like go on there and like get a prototype at least. The app that I mentioned earlier, for which you have to log in on my website, I basically like created that on Figma and then put it into Claude and then was able to launch it via Vercel. So maybe that is one of the ways that I can go about. But yeah, this has been super helpful, you guys. I appreciate this so much.
I'm gonna sneak in here. I'm gonna say, if you are using Claude Cowork is definitely. I feel like Claude Cowork is a scam. That's my opinion. I'll offer in there. That's a hot take. I'll put in there, and we'll leave it hot. We'll just leave it hot.
Just not mention it ever again. Just leave it there.
Just leave it hot. Yeah.
For what it's worth, Vaishnavi. I'll get it right in the fourth try. For what it's worth, I am currently in Framer. I've been with Framer for the last couple of years, maybe not even that long. And Tim and I were both proponents of Framer for quite some time. I will probably also be pivoting away from Framer and more into Claude Code. I've even started the redesign already. I will say Tim had recommended, like, you can take your Wix site, export the HTML from it. You can totally do that if your goal is like just quick, like let's just switch over real fast and then have full control. I would encourage you to leave it behind because the previous one is designed with Wix constraints and then also designed with human constraints. And your next one doesn't have any of those constraints. So the world is your oyster. Leave the constraints behind as well.
I love that you said that. Very inspiring.
I should write a book. That's what I'm learning here.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you hanging out with us.
Well, thank you so much, you guys.
Next on the list, Tim, we've got Gold, who's been in the chat hanging out with us, so they're certainly prepped and ready.
Let's see. Let me find you, Gold. Let me find you. I'm looking. Jim, someone posted links in here multiple times, which is
They've requested to speak. I've got them.
there we are.
And then looking at the list, we do have one more on the list for today, SRNX Designs. If you are out there somewhere, it's going to be pushing it whether we get to you today. The hurdle is we've got a hard cutoff today at top of the hour to celebrate Design Buddy's 6th anniversary. There will be an event at some point, either here on stage or in the voice channel. Tim, you'd think we'd be more in the loop, but truth be told, I haven't read any of the stuff, and maybe I should in the future. Gold.
All right. Well,
welcome.
Tell us a little about who you are, Gold. What we should call you as well.
Gold, you are currently muted if you're talking. I'm imagining Gold scrambling for the mute button, like looking at their keyboard. It's one of these. It's one of these buttons.
It might, or maybe they're grabbing a mic or something. There's no judgment, but we cannot hear you yet. Oh, hello. Golden.
Oh, Gold is off mute, though we still can't hear you. Classic tech conundrums. Gold, totally feel your pain of trying to scramble and get the technology working at the last second. If it works for you, we're going to move on to SRNX, and then hopefully we'll have time. We'll piggyback and come back to you afterward, if that's okay. I see you're in the chat. You mentioned it's working. We have, oh, yeah, we can invite you again.
Okay, I think it's working now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can. Hello.
Okay, hello.
Gold, welcome. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what your goals are for this call.
Okay, my name is Golden, and I recently transitioned into design last year. And I just created this website on Freema this year, actually, when I was trying to create my portfolio and personal branding. So as I was creating, I was also posting online and all of that. And my goal for this college is just basically to get feedback to see what I'm doing right or wrong.
Aren't we all trying to figure that out in life?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your career aspirations. Are you applying for jobs currently?
Yes, I just started applying for jobs actually.
So I'm hearing you're applying for entry level. Is that accurate?
Yes, entry level. Yes.
And what jobs are you applying for? UX design, UI design? What's the title?
UI UX design, product design.
Got it. Okay. And do you have a particular target audience or industry that you are applying toward?
Yes, I think it's mostly fintech, AI, and SaaS. So
Cool. Good to know. That positions you toward enterprise markets, which is fantastic. Probably. I shouldn't like objectively say that, but that probably positions you toward enterprise.
Okay.
Neat. Tim, any other questions you're wanting to ask before we dive into some stuff?
Golden, good to meet you. One, we kind of have a couple of directions we can go, which is we can spend time talking about positioning, skills, etc., or we can get into a case study. The choice is generally yours, but there is almost no one who we talk to who does not benefit from talking about the strategy and their positioning. And that often sets the stage for how they approach case studies. But we are open to talking about any of them, especially since we've talked so much about positioning today, if you wanted to get into a case study and be a little more nitty gritty on yours.
Okay, no, we can talk about the positioning.
Okay. Your goal, if I'm restating this, as Nate said, is to be hired.
So I didn't get you. What?
Are you unable to hear Tim? Well, Golden may have lost both of us. She may have lost audio entirely.
Golden, are you there?
I'm here actually.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm understanding your goals correctly, you are hoping to get hired into an organization as a UX designer, probably for an entry-level role. So
Yes.
for your positioning, we'll want to make sure we make you as
Yes.
appealing as possible for that type of role and answer the specific questions associated with it. Now, this might be, Nate, a good opportunity for us to talk about what the hiring process looks like and what audiences Golden is going to need to appeal to along her journey.
I was thinking the same thing. And Vaishnavi, if you're out there still, this is another conversation that if we had additional time, we would have chatted with you about as well in regard to the next portfolio you end up building and validating it targets the correct target audience here. So Golden, there are typically 3 target audiences that when we build portfolios, we are attempting to target and solve their desires and needs for. And those 3 audiences are recruiters, hiring managers, and then a third one that Tim and I are currently calling future peers. We'll come up with a better name one of these days. Recruiters are folks who don't have deep intrinsic understanding of what you do, and their job is to take a look at job description A and then candidate A, and then do a lot of like key phrase matching. They're looking for the Venn diagram of what are referred to as KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities. They're looking for the KSAs on the job description to match the KSAs found on your portfolio. All that to say, it's a lot of SEO strategies. Tim's writing down the word keywords as accurate as possible. So they don't have like a deep understanding of what you do. So then it's like walking them through just like, hey, I am valid as a person. I have skill sets because I have the keywords included. And there are a couple of things we can do to target them. The value prop on your homepage goes a long way for them. And then on your additional case studies, they'll skim through them. They won't read them. They'll skim them. And they're also looking for what we refer to as like housekeeping at the top of your case studies. Just like the objective quick notes of things. What's the project? What's the industry? How many people were involved? What was your role? That sort of stuff. That's recruiters in a nutshell. Hiring managers. These folk care much more about how you delineate and solve business problems. So they'll take a look at your value prop as well, but they're mainly interested in diving into a case study and understanding how you break down problems and smaller pieces, how you prioritize and delineate particular processes, and how you tell that story of how you went about the process that you've utilized in whatever story you're attempting to tell. They care much more about case studies. Now, I want to preface, they too will also skim your case study. In fact, the real truth is nobody is reading your entire case study. Everybody is skimming it. And we'll talk about that in a second as well. And that moves us to the third audience, peers or potentially future peers. And these guys are interesting for two reasons. One is when you're applying for a job and you get past the recruiter and the hiring manager gets all the resumes, the hiring manager will say, hey, coworkers of mine, I've narrowed down the top 20 candidates. Take a look at these resumes. Who should I chat with first? And it goes through like that peer friction, the peer filtration cycle. So it's those guys that we're trying to target now. And those folks, they care a little bit about your value prop in your case studies, but they care way more about just who you are as an individual. The idea is if I share an office with you for 8 hours a day, if I work with you for 8 hours a day, are you going to make my life miserable? Are you fun to hang out with? Are you interesting as an individual and as a person? So those folks care way more about the about page on your site. They care much more about your personality. And the typical story that I like to tell about pages is that they're probably closer to dating pieces than they are business pieces. Like the more personality you can showcase there, really the better you're targeting that tertiary peers audience. You don't have to date them, Tim, just for clarity. But you could, but you shouldn't. But you could, but you shouldn't. Those are the three audiences in a nutshell. Golden, let me pause there. How are you feeling about those folks so far? Golden, has your audio not been working this whole time?
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Excellent. Excellent. Circling back to your
I
portfolio.
understand what you're saying. It has been working. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can. You're able to hear us okay?
Okay.
I think you can hear us okay. So circling back to your portfolio, as we're scanning through this, we're wanting to validate that the portfolio
Yes,
that
I
you're
can hear
building
you.
and the story that you're telling is targeting those three audiences. We can hear you. Are you able to hear us?
I think it's a delay, Nate. I think there's just a big delay here on the sound.
Tim, I like this.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it does sound like there's a pretty heavy delay there. So with that in mind, we'll probably likely not ask you any more questions, and we'll just shout stuff at you if that's okay. That's the shtick of the target audiences. Now, Tim, I'm tempted from there to go into a case study. Pull me back. Do you have anything you want to mention before we dive into case study stuff?
Yeah. So when you look at this, when you look at these audiences, there's a couple things you're gonna notice right away, which is one, keywords, job descriptions, resume. We have lots of written word. Should make this green. So we have lots of writing. Writing is key. When you look at your hiring, they're looking for your process, who they are, do they fit the brand? These first two ones, and also business check, also lots of writing. Peers and designers, they want to know who you are. They'd have to date you and get into the details. This and personality check can also be lots of writing. Now, when we go here and we map out our visuals, right? Visuals is like service level scanning. Does this look okay? Actually, I'd say that goes there. Probably all four of these are going to be writing. Is this personal liability? Do they fit the brand? That can be visual. Personality check can be visual. They might get details. So when you look at like a map of like where should you focus, if green is our writing and then purple is our visuals. The
Mhm.
visuals do matter. Like don't get me wrong, but they are going to be more important at the end, and the writing is more important at the beginning. So you can kind of tell based on like where you are in your sequence, your funnel. Like if you're getting you apply to jobs, are you getting lots of interview requests or email backs? Are you going into interviews? Are you doing portfolio walkthroughs? Are you getting job offers? And you kind of you try to pick, based on where I am, where am I running into problems? Like, do people not call me back? Maybe it's I get interviews, but I don't interview very well. This kind of helps you decide where do you want to spend your time and your focus. So for entry level people, usually it's the writing. The writing is the undersold item. It's something we forget to focus on. And really, really strong writing can carry mediocre visuals almost every single time. Almost every single time. So having stronger writing will matter more than your visual direction because it's part of your storytelling and your communication. Layout, and there's something called information architecture, IA. Your layout and your information architecture also matters a lot too, which is how you format and present that, but I'd still call that like a writing skill. So when we look at your website, we are going to look at the words that you're using. The words that you're using are going to matter a lot. We're going to be trying to decide, like, is this something that appeals to your audiences, understanding as well that by the time someone's looking at your website, probably not a recruiter. It's probably going to be HR, right? HR is going to be the person who's going to evaluate them. And even then, they're probably going to be looking at it through a business lens before they might hand off. And so is that okay, Nate? Is that accurate, or am I totally off the rails here?
No, I think you're doing great.
Okay. Let's do it then. Let's get into some of the copywriting here and also the experience of information across this website from the lens of someone who's evaluating you. So if I wanted to hire you for full-time roles, the way I'm probably experiencing your website, your website is on the internet. I'm probably going to experience, this is my basketball. It's also the internet. Don't make fun of this basketball internet. I experience your website probably because you applied to a job listing, right? You applied to a job. Now I'm on your website, which means I should probably not tell someone to email me or get in touch with me, because this would favor someone who's freelancing, right? The idea of a contact form is very much freelancing and agency type work, when instead you are in a position of someone's on your website. They've landed on your website. The next thing that they should probably do, if they're this recruiter or a hiring manager, is you want them to hand off. You want to answer the questions. Who are you? What jobs are you correct for? What are the keywords that are associated with you? Does it look okay? And then also like my process and my business stuff, business acumen and process. So you need to answer these questions quickly rather than trying to send someone to email you when, if you've applied to a job application, chances are they already have your email because you put it on your job application. I imagine mostly. You do have a My Work button. I think that's good. That helps people get quickly oriented with your work. I am going to weigh in just quickly that the experience here of landing on a dark black page with nothing underneath it on your viewport is, I think, I'd say suboptimal experience. Like, I don't know what's next. I have nothing that anchors me visually, right? If I just load your page and then I decide not to scroll, this is the only thing I've learned about you. And this is also not specific enough to be copy paste immune. That is, I design experiences that drive action, keep users coming back. I like the spunk, I like the gusto, but we could probably copy paste this and put it on anyone's portfolio who's a designer, right? Because all of us are trying to design experiences. We all try to drive action, and we all try to keep users coming back. And so this may not be as immune as it could be. Also, we are missing, we're missing your job description keywords, right? I don't know what job title you are. I don't know if you're a product designer. I don't know if you're a UX designer. So if I was a recruiter, I actually don't know if you're the right person for this job yet. I don't see it listed. You haven't told me. Open to projects also reads very freelancer. I'd be careful about having something up here that says open to projects on it. It gives across that same thing. When you're thinking about who's good for the business, right? Will they fit the brand? HR people, they want people who are going to stay for years. They don't want someone who's just a short-term hire, right? It takes them like 3 months, 4 months, sometimes 6 months to hire a person. They don't want a 6-month hiring process to lead to someone who's going to treat it like a 3-month project. And so, communicating, making sure that you communicate that you're not a freelancer, you are a full-time person, will probably also give you some pretty good mileage in terms of improving that experience there. Nate, you have any pushback on that?
No, hiring somebody is immensely expensive, far more so than us employees see on our side. Not just in like the immediate reaction is typically like, oh, the finances that are included, like the bonuses upon hiring and that sort. But keep in mind the time loss is dramatic.
I would love to see up here in here. I'm just going to write it in this particular block. Something along the lines of including like your name. Hi, I'm, a real person, right? That's important. So having this listed here, and then also probably having, if you want to be a UX designer, just having it on here, probably putting this to, we'll make this truly cursed. We're just gonna move. We're gonna, it's cursed now. It is fully cursed. If you had it up here, right? So something that kind of introduces this, have good information architecture, so it looks nice. I also do appreciate, let me duplicate this there. Okay, nice. I changed the keyboard shortcut. I do appreciate that you have animations here. But one thing you have to keep in mind is that you want the animations to lead people to look at the next most important thing. It's going to tell me. So if I'm looking at your animation, I drive experiences that drive action, keep users coming back, which does land me to probably get in touch or my work. So you probably need to switch the priority of these buttons. So we're talking about, oh, wow, it does it every time too. Probably, okay, we're going to leave it alone, but I'd probably switch your priority, make sure that your work is your more important one, and then kind of send people to an about page. That's probably a good CTA here. Getting into your actual case studies here. So we have impact at the top. It's nice. I like that there's a well-designed image here. The text is too small though. I'm not going to read the text on this image. So what you could probably do is redesign this image again and expand the UI here and probably drop the tiny text, which kind of makes it go away. And then you're also going to notice that you have affordances for when I can click on this. The red color does not mesh well with the blue-green. And the affordance for clicking on this button is this arrow in the top right corner. That is not where my eyes are accustomed to looking at. Also, the text affordance here looks the same. It's a dark red. It's kind of a weird vibe mesh, but this is not a big enough affordance for me as a user to know that this is a button, especially when I'm scrolling and there's lots of things moving already. Like as I'm scrolling here, I don't necessarily know that I'm on a button. I wouldn't know that unless I was taking the time to like really evaluate this. So I think you're probably need to improve your affordances here for the hover state. You're already using pretty good titles here, right? We have, okay. We have AI-powered chatbot, streamlines customer interactions, enhanced service efficiency. This is a descriptive one. I'll let Nate talk about how to improve this since Nate's also very good at that kind of stuff. I do generally do like I like that this image and this image kind of have like similar DNA, right? Large title, some tools used, big UI. But this one looks very different. And this one also starts to look a little bit different too. I just do something to make them look a little bit more harmonized so they don't feel kind of out of place together. Then getting into your work experience, I think this is fine. It's okay to have here. Your process down here though, probably, I guess it works. I don't know if I can comment too much on it. We do like you have references, you have reviews. I would probably call them reviews versus references. That's just because I like the word reviews more than references. So very personal opinion. I don't know, Nate, what else are you finding here? What are you finding that might be helpful for Golden as she considers her funnel?
Yeah, here's a real low hanging fruit one. Golden, if you wouldn't mind just adding a link to your case studies in your navigation menu. So at the moment, your top nav is your intro. The second link links you farther down the page than your case studies. Really easy to miss your case studies if you're a recruiter or hiring manager just visiting your site for the first time. So just add a link there that goes to your case studies so they're super easily found. Beyond that, we can certainly talk more about storytelling in regard to the titles of those case studies, if that was your ambition, Tim.
It might be. I'm not sure. Golden, where would you like to go with this? Is there feedback here that you'd want more of in particular? Is everything resonating okay for you?
Yes, it's resonating okay. We can talk about the description title.
All right, Golden has spoken.
Golden has spoken. Storytelling in titles is so impactful. The quandary that Tim and I are trying to solve here is that we've mentioned already, and we've teased earlier, that nobody reads your case studies, that instead people skim through them and they scroll through them quickly. And so the quandary becomes, how does one design a case study that's consumable for that of folk that just skim your case study? How does one still tell the story that one is trying to tell? And there's two primary methods we have in order to achieve that storytelling. One is through a heavy emphasis on imagery, really well exposed imagery that attempts to yes and all the story that you're trying to tell. And I think you're doing an awesome job at that. I love Tim's feedback in regard to like the text being too small, but your images look really nice. And that goes a long way in regard to storytelling. Strategy number 2 is to lean heavily into storytelling, title storytelling specifically. The idea being that if one scans through it, they're going to not read all the body copy, but they will still probably read the titles of each section. So now the goal is, how can we best utilize that title to tell the story that you're attempting to tell? And the barometer for success here is, if you take your case study and you only read the titles, one should still have an understanding of the process that you utilized. So let's take a look at case study number 1, Tim. Vardell, I think is the name of it. Vardal? Actually,
It's Vard AI.
Oh, Vard AI. I'm so sorry. The image itself was I was suggesting. I probably just misread it. Let's see.
It looked like a W to me as well. That's kind of weird.
Vard AI. So let's take a look at the titles. We do have a big black gap there that Tim is pointing out as well. We can remove that gap. It just hides the rest of it. As Tim scrolls down, we're going to see a couple of titles entitled project description, the objective, target users, and the titles that you have are very checkbox oriented, as in it feels like you think these are sections that the user needs to know about. Therefore, I'm going to title these sections that are synonymous with those sections that people are expecting. And that's a reasonable mindset to have. The quandary is, if people are only reading the titles, it doesn't tell anything about the story that you're attempting to tell. So let's spend our time heavily emphasizing the story in these titles. So project description, let's start there. The title of that section should be a summary of the section that had occurred, or the discovery that was made of that section. So let's read this. Vard AI is an AI-powered chatbot platform designed to help businesses automate communications and support. But like those first sentence, that sentence alone is already a better title. And don't be afraid to lean into lengthier titles like that, knowing that that's the one thing people are going to read. So like if we were to remove your title project description and instead the title is that first sentence, that's already a great title that's leaning heavily into the storytelling. And if a user only reads that, they're still gaining an understanding of what the case study is attempting to communicate.
A even better version of this, though, would be one that outlines the problem on the onset, because that's the context, right? Is that we're trying to evaluate, how is Golden the greatest UX designer in the world, and where is that evident in her work for Vard AI? And so outlining the problem that you're solving at the very start is an excellent way to open up. So instead of saying project, so and also the one thing we'll talk about too is that we want to sell Golden. Golden is the product of the portfolio, not Vard AI, right? Vard AI is a project that you've worked on. That's cool, but I don't want to buy Vard. I want Golden. Golden is the team member I'm trying to recruit. So I need to see, where is Golden valuable, and I want to see Golden's ownership inside of Vard. So instead of talking about Vard as much, we're going to talk about Golden. So like what does Golden do? So you might say like setup is Vard AI needed needed, like this was their problem, right? So whatever their problem was, whatever they're working on, whatever's happening here, you outline this as the context. The whole context, the whole brief is Vard AI or whoever is needs this thing, and there is, and that could be it. That's like your whole thing. It could be a full sentence, and then you spend this paragraph a little bit more detail, outline the problem again. What is the problem? And then I do like that you've already started to move into the second half of this. You're already talking about like what you did. As part of the product team, I designed the marketing website. I don't think you need to include that you were on the product team. I think you just say like, I designed the product marketing site. I guess you can include it, but just keeping brevity, I designed the marketing website, and you should spend more time talking about each of these. Like doing a 3-point sentence here is very AI coded. I don't know if it is AI or not, but like it's too short. Doesn't get enough value out of this little section here, especially when we're setting up the problem. We want to see way more ownership. You should basically tell us the whole story of the whole project in these 2 or 3 paragraphs at the top here. And then you spend the rest of the project going into more detail of what you've summarized at the top. Remember, people they won't read the whole thing. And so you're going to give them a little preview up here. So that way, if they skip it, they do still get some good value. Does that track go? Does that track? Is that on par for you?
Sorry, I did not get you. What did you say? I didn't get you. You said, is that what?
Yeah, Nate, is there another way I could say this?
No, I think, Golden, I think I'm understanding that you understood the majority of what Tim was describing. I think on track is potentially.
I just don't get the last thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Tim was asking if that
Yes,
if that was making sense for you.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
Golden, how significantly has K-pop Demon Hunters affected your life?
I don't know. I don't really watch K-pop, and I watch Demon Hunters just once. So,
but I'm hearing it hasn't affected you dramatically from like other people referencing your name.
I think Golden is a great name.
Golden's
it is
a
also
great
the
name.
name of a song. It's a name from the song from the global phenomenon, K-pop Demon Hunters. It's probably the name of the most popular song from that film.
Well, see, this is what I was saying. I have no doubt Golden is very aware of that right now. Is that accurate?
I'm not aware of it.
Whoa.
I'm just hearing this for the first time.
Oh, okay.
actually.
Yeah. Well, if you ever feel like diving into very peculiar K-pop animation, highly recommended. Circling back to your case study here, I think we've given you a lot to work off of. And when it comes to like the top 3 things Tim and I could talk about, we have certainly covered them. How are you feeling so far? I think we've given you a lot of actionables. Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling like you've got some actionables?
No, I'm not feeling overwhelmed at all. I'm actually writing everything down. So
Nice. Okay.
I'll work
And
on them all.
if you missed the beginning of this conversation, everything is currently being live streamed and recorded on YouTube. I'll paste a link here in the chat. You are always welcome to go back and rewatch all of this. So no need to take notes, but you're welcome to if you like.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. There are other things we could talk about. All of them are less important than everything Tim and I have mentioned so far. I am tempted to call it there. Tim, how are you feeling?
I am feeling good with that as well. I have a feeling that this pattern is going to be reflected across the whole thing.
Yes, actually.
Golden, really appreciate you hanging out with us today. Really appreciate it's brave hopping on here for the first time, and I really appreciate you being willing to do that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. This was very insightful.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Chat, really appreciate all of you hanging out with us today. That is going to be the last one for today's call. Now, before you leave, today is a special day for Design Buddies. This is the 6th anniversary of Design Buddies, there is an event that is occurring in exactly 9 minutes from now. It's some sort of birthday hangout you'll see in the voice chat, which is either to the left of me or to the right of me somewhere. There's a voice channel dedicated to birthday hangout that will likely be in there. I don't think they'll be utilizing the stage for this because I think they're wanting like a whole lot of camera folk to get on. You don't have to go on camera, but I think that's what they're looking for. Feel free to hang out with us in 9 minutes from now. Pivot over to the birthday hangout, and Tim and I will be there to hang out with you folks. If you are new here, go ahead.
Yeah, let's hang out. We'll take some questions until it's time to migrate, so that we can all migrate in a rush. We'll do a raid for the channel.
Love that. So. I shall be back in 2 minutes.
Okay. Let's see what questions we can answer. I guess I'll end the stream though. We'll go ahead and
What? Where'd everybody go?